Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. The left is taking identity politics to a new level and bullying a demographic of people who are the most persecuted people in the entire world. And yes, I'm talking about Christians. George Washington University announced they are hosting a seminar aimed at combating what they call Christian privilege. They call this seminar a training session for students and faculty that teaches that Christians, especially the white ones, receive, quote, unmerited perks from institutions and systems all across our country. The seminar teaches students that Christians enjoy a privileged, easier life with built-in advantages, and therefore, these radical leftists want to take Christians down, and they're teaching students how to do it. Now, you might notice that anytime the left attaches the word privilege to a characteristic, they're reducing us to either our immutable characteristics, like race, or gender, or sexual orientation, and doing this is the definition of racism, sexism, or negative stereotyping, or they are labeling us as oppressors. Let me tell you, I'm a practicing Catholic. We Christians are lucky. We are blessed to live in a nation like the United States of America, where we are free to worship the God that we choose without fear that the government will burn us at the stake, or throw us in jail, or brand us, or fine us, or stone us, or ostracize us, or kill us based on our religious beliefs. We are unspeakably blessed that our ancestors came to America to escape religious persecution and built this nation where we, their children, can go to Mass, or the synagogue, or the mosque, or the temple of the flying spaghetti monster and do it safely and freely. But the allegation that Christians are privileged, according to the left's politically correct definition of the term, meaning we oppress others by our very existence, let me tell you about Christian privilege. In New York State, a Christian husband and wife were forced by the government to either violate their religious beliefs on marriage or have the government shut down their business. Christian doctors and nurses all across our country can be sued and barred from practicing medicine if they decline to perform abortions because abortion violates their Christian values. And Democrats in Congress, by the way, refuse to vote in favor of a conscious protection for these Christians. Catholic nuns were forced by the government to pay for abortifacient birth control in violation of their religious beliefs. An elementary school student who shared Bible verses with his friends in the cafeteria at lunch was suspended for doing so by the school district. A college kid was kicked out of class for defending the Christian and scientific belief that there are only two genders. Christian parents in Ohio had their teenage daughters stolen from them by a court because the parents believe, based on both religion and science, that transgender surgery to turn their daughter into a man was not the best cure for her gender dysphoria. Vice President Mike Pence is mocked constantly by the left for his Christian fidelity to his wife. And the Christian belief in the sanctity of marriage and the sanctity of life is ridiculed by the left on a daily basis as misogynistic and oppressive. Don't try to tell me that Christians are the bullies in this country. Let me tell you about Christian privilege. More Christians have died for their faith in the past 100 years than in all the centuries combined since the time Jesus Christ was born to this earth. 215 million Christians worldwide are subject to high levels of persecution every single year, including political and social repression, torture, rape, crucifixion, expulsion, expropriation of property, destruction of churches, and murder at the hands of people in power who are not Christian. 1 million Christians were killed for their faith, martyred around the world between the years 2005 and 2015. 1 out of every 12 Christians in the world today are being persecuted. Talk about Christian privilege. Or perhaps you're upset by the Christian influences in our country. The law based on Judeo-Christian values that illegalizes murder. The law based on Judeo-Christian values that prohibits rape. The laws based on Judeo-Christian teachings that makes it a crime to steal, assault, kidnap, violate, burn down, embezzle, cheat, or commit perjury. Perhaps you're offended by the Christian tenet that calls us to love our neighbor greater than ourselves, to serve others, love others, be kind, and share the light of Christ by our word, by our thought, and by our deeds. Or perhaps instead of teaching impressionable young people about the so-called role of denial when it comes to white privilege and Christian privilege, you should talk about the role of denial by the left when it comes to the persecution of Christians all around the world. And that's my final point. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you like the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, and until then, have a good night.